You can create tests using the keyword-driven methodology, step recording, or a combination of both. Creating tests using the keyword-driven methodology requires an infrastructure for all of the required resources. Resources include shared object repositories, function libraries, and recovery scenarios. Setting up the infrastructure requires in-depth knowledge of your application and a high level of quick test expertise. Although setting up the infrastructure may initially require a longer time investment in comparison to recording tests, using the keyword-driven methodology enables you to create tests at a more application-specific level and with a more structured design. This enables you to maintain your tests more efficiently and provides you with more flexibility than a recorded test. In some cases, you may want to let QuickTest generate test steps by recording the typical processes that you perform on your application. As you navigate through your application, QuickTest graphically displays each step you perform as a row in the keyword view. A step is anything a user does that changes the content of a page or object in your application, for example, clicking a link or typing data into an edit box. Recording may be easier for new QuickTest users or when beginning to design tests for a new application or a new feature. While creating your test, you can insert checkpoints. A checkpoint compares the value of an element captured when the object was saved in the object repository with the value of the same element captured during the run session. This helps you determine whether or not your application is functioning correctly. When you test your application, you may want to check how it performs the same operations with different data. This is called parameterizing your test. You can supply data in the data table, define environment variables, instruct QuickTest to generate random numbers, and so on. After creating your initial test, you can further enhance it by adding and modifying steps in the keyword view or expert view. You can create the steps in your tests using the keyword-driven methodology, recording, or a combination of both. Recording tests. Recording can be useful in the following situations. Recording helps novice QuickTest users learn how QuickTest interprets the operations you perform on your application and how it converts them to QuickTest objects and built-in operations. Recording can be useful for more advanced QuickTest users when working with a new application or major new features of an existing application, for the same reasons described above. Recording is also helpful while developing functions that incorporate built-in QuickTest keywords. Recording can be useful when you need to quickly create a test that tests the basic functionality of an application or feature, but does not require long-term maintenance. Creating tests using keyword-driven testing. Keyword-driven testing advantages include the following. Keyword-driven testing enables you to design your tests at a business level rather than at the object level. For example, QuickTest may recognize a single option selection in your application as several steps: a click on a button object, a mouse operation on a list object, and then a keyboard operation on a list subitem. You can create an appropriately named function to represent all of these lower-level operations in a single, business-level keyword. By incorporating technical operations, such as a synchronization statement that waits for client-server communications to finish, into higher-level keywords, tests are easier to read and easier for less technical application testers to maintain when the application changes. When you record tests, you may not notice that new objects are being added to the local object repository. This may result in many testers maintaining local object repositories with copies of the same objects. When using a keyword-driven methodology, you select the objects for your steps from the existing object repository. When you need a new object, you can add it to your local object repository temporarily, but you are also aware that you need to add it to the shared object repository for future use. When you record a test, QuickTest enters the correct objects, methods, and argument values for you. Therefore, it is possible to create a test with little preparation or planning. Although this makes it easier to create tests quickly, such tests are harder to maintain when the application changes and often require re-recording large parts of the test. When you use a keyword-driven methodology, you select from existing objects and operation keywords. Therefore, you must be familiar with both the object repositories and the function libraries that are available. You must also have a good idea of what you want your test to look like before you begin inserting steps. This usually results in well-planned and better structured tests, which also results in easier long-term maintenance. Automation experts can add objects and functions based on detailed product specifications even before a feature has been added to a product. Using keyword-driven testing, you can begin to develop tests for a new product or feature earlier in the development cycle. Preparing to create a test before you begin creating a test, ensure that your application and quick test are set to match the needs of your test. For the purposes of this tutorial, in Microsoft Internet Explorer, clear the autocomplete option for usernames and passwords, choose Tools, Internet Options, Content tab, Autocomplete button. Close all browsers before you begin. Set the proper web page/frame options. Open Quick Test, choose Tools, Options, and click the Web Page/Frame node. In the Create a New Page Test object for area, select different URLs or a change in data transfer, and select the first 4 checkboxes. Adding steps to the login action. A step represents an operation to be performed on your application. For example, a step might click an image or insert a value into an edit box. In previous chapters, you created unique actions for most of the pages in the Mercury Tours website and added them to your test. This enables you to reuse each action in your tests. For example, you may want to use the login action in multiple tests. In this section, you will make a reservation for a flight from New York to San Francisco on the Mercury Tours website, adding steps in various ways. After you add steps to the first action, you will analyze the steps to gain a better understanding of the keyword view. 1. Start Quick Test and open the Mercury Tours test. If Quick Test is not currently open, open it, making sure that only the web add-in is loaded. Browse to and open the Mercury Tours test. 2. Open the login action in the keyword view. Click the Test Flow tab to display the test flow pane. If you do not see the Test Flow tab, choose View, Test Flow, or click the Test Flow pane button to display it. Make sure that the keyword view is displayed. Click the Keyword View tab if the expert view is displayed. C. In the Test Flow pane, double-click the login action. The login action opens. 3. Add the first step needed to log into the Mercury Tours website. In the keyword view, choose Insert New Step. The item list opens, displaying the top-level parent test object in the associated login shared object repository, the Welcome Mercury Tours browser object. You need to insert steps only on the objects on which you want to perform operations, so you do not need to insert a step on this object. Select Object from Repository to open the Select Object for Step dialog box and expand the test object tree. Select Username and click OK. The Select Object for Step dialog box closes, and 1 step is added to the action, even though 3 rows are added to the keyword view. Quick Test adds a row for each of the parent test objects, but does not perform an operation on these objects. Therefore, these rows are part of the path to the object upon which the step is performed. During a run session, Quick Test uses the parent objects to help identify the actual object on which it needs to perform an operation. In this step, the selected username web edit test object is added to the item cell. The default method, set, is added to the operation cell, but no documentation is added to the documentation cell because the step is still missing a required value in the value cell. In the value cell, enter tutorial. Inserting this value completes the step. Documentation for the step in plain English is displayed in the documentation cell when you click another area in the keyword view. Click the Expert View tab to view the syntax of the step in VBScript. Notice that this step is being performed on the web edit box test object, and that the test object hierarchy for the web edit box test object is displayed prior to the test object. The method to be performed on the object is displayed immediately after the test object. Full stops, periods, separate each part of the step. Click the Keyword View tab to return to the keyword view. 4. Add the next step. Choose Insert greater than New Step again to insert the next step. The item list opens listing the sibling objects of the previous step's test object. B. Select password from the item list. The password web edit test object is added to the item cell, and the default method, set, is added to the operation cell. You need to change this method because the password needs to be encoded. Also, no documentation is added to the documentation cell because the step is still missing a required value. C. Click in the operation cell to display the down arrow, and then click the down arrow to display the list of available methods for the selected test object. Select Set Secure from the list. This method enables the use of encrypted text. Now you need to generate the encrypted text and insert it in the value cell. 5. Generate an encoded password. 8. From the Windows menu, choose Start greater than Programs greater than Quick Test Professional greater than Tools greater than Password Encoder. The Password Encoder dialog box opens. 5. Generate an encoded password. 8. From the Windows menu, choose Start greater than Programs greater than Quick Test Professional greater than Tools greater than Password Encoder. The Password Encoder dialog box opens. B. In the password box, enter tutorial. C. Click Generate. The password encoder encrypts the password and displays it in the encoded string box. D. Click Copy. Paste the encoded value in the value cell for the password step. Inserting a value completes this step. Documentation for this step is displayed in the documentation cell. E. Click Close to close the password encoder. 6. Insert the last step in the login action. A. Click in the item column below the last step to insert the next step. The item list opens listing the sibling objects of the previous step's test object. B. Select Sign In from the item list. This step instructs Quick Test to click the Sign In button. 7. Save your test. Choose File greater than Save or click the Save button. In the previous section, you added steps to the login action. If you were to run your test at this point, the last step would open the Flight Finder page in the Mercury Tours website. Now, you will record steps for the Flight Finder action you created for the Flight Finder page. The steps you add will use test objects from the associated Mercury's Flight Finder shared object repository. 1. In Quick Test, open the Mercury Tours test if it is not already open. A. If Quick Test is not already open, choose Start, Programs, Quick Test Professional, Quick Test Professional. O. If the Start page window opens, click Open Test. O. If Quick Test opens without displaying the Start page window, choose File, Open, Test, or click the Open button down arrow and choose Test. B. In the Open Test dialog box, locate and select the Mercury Tours test and then click Open. 2. Open the Flight Finder action. A. Click the Test Flow tab to display the test flow pane. If you do not see the Test Flow tab, choose View greater than Test Flow, or click the Test Flow pane button to display it. B. In the Test Flow pane, double-click the Flight Finder action. The Flight Finder action opens. 3. Launch the Mercury Tours website and open the Flight Finder page. A. In Microsoft Internet Explorer, enter the following URL, http://newtours.demo.com. The Mercury Tours homepage opens. B. In the Find a Flight area, enter tutorial in both the username and password boxes, and click Sign In. The Flight Finder page opens. C. In Quick Test, choose Automation, Record, and Run Settings. The Record and Run Settings dialog box opens. In the Web tab, select Record and Run Test on any open browser and click OK. This enables Quick Test to record on the open web page. D. In Quick Test, choose Automation, Record, or click the Record button. Quick Test begins recording and your browser displays the Flight Finder page in the Mercury Tours website. You can resize Quick Test to display more of the web page. Change the following selections by choosing from the drop-down list. Do not use the calendar option, departing from New York on December 29th, arriving in San Francisco, returning December 31st. Click Continue to accept the other default selections. The Select Flight page opens. E. In Quick Test, click Stop on the Automation toolbar to stop the recording process. You have now reserved an imaginary ticket from New York to San Francisco. Quick Test recorded your web browser operations from the time you clicked the record button until you clicked the stop button. 4. Save your test. Choose File, Save, or click the Save button. In the previous section, you added steps to the Flight Finder action. If you were to run your test at this point, the last step would open the Select Flight page in the Mercury Tours website. For the purpose of this tutorial, you do not need to make any changes in the Select Flight page, but you do need to instruct Quick Test to accept the default options and continue to the next page. Therefore, in this action, you will add one step that instructs Quick Test to click the Continue button. 1. Open the Select Flight action. A. Click the Test Flow tab to display the Test Flow pane. If you do not see the Test Flow tab, choose View, Test Flow, or click the Test Flow pane button to display it. B. In the Test Flow pane, double-click the Select Flight action. The Select Flight action opens. 2. Add a step to the Select Flight action by clicking in the Item column. A. Click in the Item column below the action name to insert the next step. The item list opens, listing the top-level parent object in the Mercury's Select Flight shared object repository. B. Select Object from Repository to open the Select Object for Step dialog box and expand the test object tree. C. Select Reserved Flights and click OK. The selected image test object is added to the step, together with its default method. Click. The documentation cell describes what the step does in plain English. Again, this step is displayed on 3 rows in the keyword view, because the parent test objects are part of the step. In the expert view, the step is displayed as follows. 3. Save your test. Choose File, Save, or click the Save button. In the previous section, you added a step to the Select Flight action. If you were to run your test at this point, the last step would open the Book a Flight page in the Mercury Tours website. In this section, you will be creating steps by pasting content into the expert view, which is another way of creating steps in your action. The pasted steps do not include values. You will then insert values for each step using the keyword view. Finally, you will use the step generator to insert a single step. The step generator enables you to define an entire step in one dialog box, instead of inserting different parts of a step in the various columns of the keyword view. 1. Open the Book Flight action. B. In the Test Flow pane, double-click the Book Flight action. The Book Flight action opens. 2. Add steps to the Book Flight action. A. Click the Expert View tab to display the expert view. B. Copy/paste the following steps. 3. Fill in the missing step details. A. Click the Keyword View tab and look at the documentation column. Notice that for most of the steps, no documentation is available. This is because the steps you just inserted are missing values. For example, in the first step, a value needs to be filled in for the passenger's first name. Pass first, your first name. Pass last, your last name. Credit card name, Visa. Credit card number, 12345. Credit card expiry month, August. Credit card expiry year, 2009. 4. Add a step using the step generator to confirm the booking and return to the home page. The last step in the steps you pasted clicks the Secure Purchase button in the Book a Flight page. During a run session, this opens the flight confirmation page in the Mercury Tours website. You will now use the step generator to define an entire step in one dialog box, instead of inserting different parts of a step in the various columns of the keyword view, or inserting a step in the expert view. A. Click in the Item column below the last step to ensure that the next step will be inserted after the last existing step in this action. B. Choose Insert Step Generator. The Step Generator dialog box opens. C. Click the Select Object button. The Select Object for Step dialog box opens. Expand the flight confirmation, Mercury node of the tree. Deselect the Home Image object and click OK. The Step Generator displays the default options for the Home Test object. You define the arguments and values in the Step Generator just as you would in the Keyword View columns. You use the Category and Object boxes to define the value in the Item column in the Keyword View. You use the operation cell to define the value in the operation column. In this step, the default operation for the home test object, click, is displayed in the operation box. Although you could potentially select a different operation for this test object by clicking the down arrow, click is the operation needed for this step. You use the arguments box to define values for the arguments in the value cell in the keyword view. If any of the arguments were mandatory, a red asterisk would be displayed next to the argument name. In this step, there are no mandatory arguments, and you do not need to define any values. The step documentation box displays the instruction for this step, as it will be displayed in the documentation cell of the keyword view. If you wanted to insert another step, you could select the Insert Another Step checkbox. This is the only step you need in this action, so there is no need to select this checkbox. Click OK. The step generator closes, and the step is added to the keyword view. Click the Expert View tab. You can see that the same step is displayed as follows. 5. Save your test. Choose File, Save, or click the Save button. Since the book flight action currently contains two main processes, purchasing a flight and returning to the home page, it makes sense to divide the action into separate actions. This will enable you to create different tests that do not return to the home page after purchasing flights. For example, you may want to create a test that books both flight reservations and hotel reservations, and only then returns to the home page. 1. Select the page where you want the second action to begin. In the keyword view, expand the book flight action, if needed, by right-clicking the book flight action row, the top row, in the action, and choosing Expand Subtree. B. Select the first flight confirmation, Mercury row, to highlight it. 2. Split the test into two actions. Choose Edit Action, Split Action, or click the Split Action button. This splits the current action into two actions. The new action will start on the flight confirmation, Mercury page, which is the currently selected row. B. Click Yes in the message box. If this reusable action was being called from another test, splitting it into two actions could affect that test adversely, because some of the steps would be missing. Since you did not include a call to this action from any other test, you can safely split this action. The Split Action dialog box opens. See in the Split Action dialog box, enter names and descriptions for the two actions. In the name box of the first action, leave the name as Book Flight. Remove one from the action name. In the description box of the first action, enter Purchases Flights. In the name box of the second action, enter Flight Confirmation. In the description box of the second action, enter Confirms Purchases, and returns to the home page. Click OK to close the Split Action dialog box and accept the other default selections. The two actions are displayed in the keyword view and in the test flow pane. 3. Save your test. Choose File, Save, or click the Save button. 4. Close the browser that is open to the Mercury Tours website.